Thank you. Do I have a microphone, David? Am I on? Testing. You kind of hope so, and you kind of hope not sometimes. Anyhow, welcome. This is the entertainment portion. This is the part that you were supposed to wait until before the dessert and after the real meal, but you didn't. And I heard the best excuses out there. There were some of you that, oh, well, I'm sorry, I didn't read the program. Otherwise, I would have certainly waited. And yes, I'll be glad to help you corral all those other people in here and not let them leave before that. Pat Moore, where's Pat? She's in here somewhere. Pat Moore was sitting across the table from me, and she was trying to convince me that what was on her plate was arugula when it really looked like cherry cheesecake. So I don't know what that's all about. Anyhow, my name is Richard McLeod. I am not a member of the Partner Church Committee, but I wish I was, and I like to stick with them and be whatever I can, if I can. Anyhow, I wanted to, let me move up to this microphone and talk some about the Partner Church. So hang on. Hi, it's me again. Same guy was sitting over there before, in case you don't recognize a profile. But the first thing I wanted to do is I want to talk about our guest of honor, and then we'll talk about the part. Can't hear me? Is it a microphone problem, or is it your hearing aids, or you just don't want to hear me? I'm sorry, David. I'm doing the best I. What? Strangers in the night. Test one. You're good. Are we good? It's kind of a signal for you're good. Shut up. Anyhow, I want to introduce Ysolt and Alex first. When the first time I met Ysolt was about 5 years ago when he was here, and I've been wanting to visit his home place for a long time, but just never got around to doing it. But I want to say to him, and I learned this just for the occasion, mulțumesc for being here. That's Hungarian, right? Did I say it right? Okay, mulțumesc. Anyhow, there's a few other words. Anyhow, I want to thank them all for being here. And the goulash was great. Okay? Actually, goulash was one of my first words when I was a kid. I said goo-goo instead of goulash, but it worked out all right. But anyhow, we're glad he's here, and he is brought here by the Partner Church Committee, which means these fine folks that are sitting nearby here. The Partner Church Committee has been kind of on their own in terms of their support, their finances, but they have been the ones responsible for getting Ysolt here and for providing some financial information to the Besterța Romania Church, and for giving us some foundation for all the jokes about Transylvania. So we do appreciate that. Lee Mingy has been kind of the chairman of that committee for a while, and she's put an awful lot of work into this. Some of the other people on the committee are, and stand up as we do this, okay? So you can see who's responsible for this all. Susan, and and Lee, you stand up first. Yeah. Well, we're going to do a whole big. Oh, yeah. Karita? John? Yeah. Okay. Don? Who else? Ann? Karen? Okay.
Could I just say that we could not do what we do in the name of the UUCC without your support of our fundraisers and contributions in the basket tonight would be very welcome. And we are currently not a line item in the budget, so all that we're able to do is out of the kindness of your hearts, and we greatly appreciate it. We schedule the
entertainment for after one course or before dessert, but it didn't kind of work out that way. So there's still some left back there, right? So people can go back for second half. The program for tonight.
There's a lot of rules, actually. I noticed a lot of people didn't eat the pickles with the goulash.
But
We should have explained that. We should have had Joel tell us about it, but
well,
we didn't do that.
now, Susan, there's a rule of life, and that is don't try to clean up something after it's too late. Okay, but at any rate, yes, and for those we tried to lock the doors and keep everybody in, but I see somebody who snuck out anyhow. We are very honored tonight. Now, did I say all I was supposed to say about Partner Church Committee? Again, there's still collection baskets back on the table. You can, yeah. Anyhow, program tonight, it says on your program there's a couple other people involved, but it ends up being myself and Matthew. Anna is here, but she's here in more of a supervisory capacity. So I'll get thank that. Anyhow, Matthew is here. Let me introduce. I have a thing about Matthew that I want to introduce him because Matthew, we've been trying to get him to put on a show for us for some time now, and we're so glad to have him here tonight. So he's going to do most of the evening, in addition to some of this stupid stuff that I might say. But I have here a thing I'm supposed to read about him. Matthew, who Yoli and Tony can take credit for him. Matthew Ganong was born in St. Augustine, Florida, and grew up in Columbia. He's a graduate of Dreher High School, and from there he went to the Peabody Conservatory of Music of Johns Hopkins University. He graduated in 1993. Older than he looks, but his talent deserves that much time. 1993, and from there went on to perform as soloist or as collaborating pianist in many venues nationally and internationally. During his years in Chicago, he was the director and pianist of intimate opera and a member of the classical music quartet. Matthew is also a composer and a gifted player of harpsichord, organ, and melodica. I'm pleased to announce that very soon Matthew will be presenting a once-a-month recital right here in the UUCC building. This series will consist of a broad variety of music for piano, occasionally with other guest musicians. So please be alert to announcements of the start of this series. Tonight he's going to play a longtime favorite of his and of all of us, the Hungarian Rhapsody No. 2 by Franz Liszt. The piano and the microphone are yours, Mike. Matthew, introduce yourself and introduce your piece. It's yours.
Well, in choosing this piece for tonight's performance, there's a special connection between the composer Liszt and the UU Church because I have a prop here I need to get. There's a very famous painting of the Diet of Torda, where Francis David convinced King Sigismund to adopt the edict that permitted freedom of belief and it was a very revolutionary event, and freedom of conscience and choosing one's faith. So in this very moving painting, I understand that the artist used the composer Franz Liszt as the model for Francis David. And if you look at photographs of Liszt that exist, you can really see that it's his likeness, since there were no known portraits of Liszt. So my dad found this little thing online here that it gives an explanation. I'll just read it because it says, it's better than I do. The scene depicted in the image is one of the debates leading up to the Edict of Torda. The man with his outstretched arm at the center of the action is Francis David, a Unitarian preacher who would become the first Unitarian bishop. The image there isn't David. No one knows what he actually looked like. So the artist simply used as his model the pianist Franz Liszt, the most famous man in Europe at the time. We might imagine that the dramatic moment in the image was one where David won over the king when he convinced King John Sigismund to become Unitarian. And a little afterthought here, it says, Liszt performed several times in Kolosvar, now Cluj, Romania, and his likeness was used as the face of David Ferenc, Francis David, in a famous painting by I don't know how to say this, but Aladar. Okay, there it is, Aladar. I'll just say the last name. But Kolosvar Krish Aladar, of the debate in 1568, which led to the proclamation of the Edict of Torda. So the painting was used on a Hungarian postage stamp in 2018. And I don't know if you all have seen this, but it's very, very beautiful. So this piece here is the Hungarian Rhapsody No. 2 by Liszt, which was the result of a trip that Liszt took around the countryside listening to the gypsies play their tunes. And he collected and wrote down these melodies and then wrote these wonderful piano pieces off of them. Now, I have to say, this is rather crazy to jump in and play something like this. This is the type of work that usually is played at the end of a long piano recital when you've had time to warm up and get into it. But I'm going to go ahead and launch into it right now.
Aren't you? Are you tired just listening to Washington? As I recall, Liszt was one of those who was notorious for beating up pianos. Yeah, seriously, he'd
Break two or three in one concert sometime.
2 or 3 in one concert sometime.
Can I say something?
Oh,
I feel like I'm sorry.
well, they asked me to not let you.
Say something. I mean, I know Matthew from a long time, but this was over everything. A month ago, I was listening to the same a piece of music performed in the high school by my 13-year-old boy. Wait, we were holding our breath that he will finish it. We were dying. He did well, but you enjoyed it. And there is a rumor beyond the pianist's world and the rank of pianists that the ones who can play Liszt and Bartók Béla by heart, they are really on the high range. And the second thing, thank you so for the Edict of Torda painting. I explain why Körösfői Kris Aladár chose Liszt as the face of David Francis. David Francis, as a theologian, basically the founder of Unitarianism, he was so virtuose in theology and learning the truth than Liszt in music. I mean, they were 300 years away, but I bet that David Francis knew the distance between the two fingers of Liszt, this and the other part. So it's like unbelievable, Matthew. Thank you so much.
As a matter of fact, as I recall, when you were here 5 years ago, you left us a copy of that Edict of Torda. And it's here somewhere. Yes, well, yeah, thank you for that. Any other announcements I need to make here? Except one confession I have to make, and this is something that very few other people know, and that is, I taught Matthew everything he knows. Okay, anyhow, anything else, partner church? Dessert, there's still some dessert back there, right?
I think we should stay in here. We're settled unless you, are you dying for dessert? Let's do that dessert. Yeah, why don't we just bring Ysolt and Alex up and be here? And dance or whatever. And just be in here. Well, it's just so much moving, we're settled, it's cool.
But I want dessert.
Oh, well, too bad. We'll save some for the band. But it was wonderful to watch Matthew's expression on his face, wasn't it?
Well, by the way, listening to Liszt, it can really resonate how we think about life, how Hungarians or Transylvanians feel about living, the joy of living. Sometimes our folk music is very sad because we want to express our sadness and leave it, just sing it out, and then we can enjoy life. But Liszt never spoke Hungarian. He lived in the Austro-Hungarian Empire and he spoke Austrian, but he always corrected people regarding his name, because when they misspelled Liszt as SZT, he always corrected them that, no, that's wrong, I'm Hungarian, but he never spoke Hungarian. So he was a genius. And well, Matthew, this was Goulash, dessert, and wine together. So thank you. What I would like is, I don't have a speech, I don't have a lecture, we don't have a story to tell. Better come to church on Sunday. We don't want to spoil or anything, but if you have any questions regarding about Eastern Europe, Transylvania, our congregation, your partner congregation, the school where I am teaching. By the way, there's a Unitarian school in Transylvania, and it's ranked #1 in the country. No wonder. So they just they just announced, and it was 3 o'clock in the morning, that the percentage of the baccalaureate result was 100. So all the kids went through the baccalaureate and they go to college, and that's very rare. I mean, the percentage is 68 in the country. So, and the kids are not Unitarian. About 18-19% of them are, just as the number of the Unitarians in the region. But the other 80% of the students who are Christians or agnostic or atheist, they have this spirituality in this school. And where are they going to go to become doctors and lawyers and engineers and IT specialists and musicians? They will not forget that environment. So I am a teacher in that school in Kolozsvár or Cluj or Klausenburg in German or Claudiopolis in Latin. And I drive down to Beszterce, 150 kilometers from my place. I'm in the rare situation, usually the minister in Transylvania walks through the street, across the street from his parish house to the church, and I drive 2.5 hours, give a half an hour sermon because I don't talk a lot, and drive back. So the whole day is about driving, but at least I can contemplate about life and about the importance of that ministry. I treasure very much, and Alex and I entered the sanctuary, and we see these little gifts we brought to you in the last 30 years. On the left side it says God is one, and there are two portraits. The big one, the tall one, is an older one from the 90s or late 90s, and the other one is a 5 years old one or 6 years old one. And sadly, I can share that no one lives anymore from the first row on that old picture, and it's life, you know. I mean, today I was serving you that food, and we had the joy cooking it for you with this wonderful team. But I had the feeling that some people don't have anything to eat in Ukraine. They are in the basement. Sadly, we are partnered with a school in Ukraine, and they have to go to those bunkers when the sirens come on, and they have an application on their cell phone telling where the bombs are being dropped. And the kids are carefully looking at that application. So much modern is that war, trying to understand what's happening because their father is on the battlefield. So they are hoping that, you know, that it's not going to hit in that region. So none of them are alive anymore, but we are still 40 people, 30 of them very active in church, coming on every Sunday possible. And during COVID, the great news is that no one died out of COVID. Not too many people got the disease because they were staying isolated in their house. By the way, Romania is a very strange country, not because of Dracula and stuff, but it's related. Some percentage of the people totally denied COVID, totally denied the shots. And my 80 years old, 90 years old congregants understood the importance of that, and they protected themselves. So during COVID, there were no services at all, 1.5 year. And it was crazy because my colleagues were broadcasting on Zoom, and of course people learned how to use technology, and many in Transylvania used the same, but not my congregants. So what I did is I took the cell phone with 100% of battery, took a jar of water, went on a hill, and I called them on Sunday mornings, each of them, one by one, 40 of them. And each call was like, we don't like to talk very much on phone. We like to talk to people. So I was basically holding the phone for 40 minutes, 50 minutes, 1.5 hours, listening to what they are cooking, what was on television, how the grandkids left the food at the door and went away to protect them. We were praying on the phone. We are a bit Christian, you know, compared to you, but we live with that. We even have a bishop in Transylvania, but he's a nice guy. And so once a week I was on the phone for 10 hours, and then I went to charge my phone and I wanted not to talk to anyone for like a week. And we survived. We survived, and we started to meet each other, and the joy when we were able to see each other on masks. We could see only our eyes, and we kept distance, and slowly the world turned better. That was a Sunday when we met, and Tuesday the war started. So I am the one who will never understand why life is like this, you know. We feel good once, we feel scared, and the next moment we are joyful one moment, and then we cry the next moment. So this is human living, human being. So if you have any questions to me and Alex, I'm happy to answer. But I think it would totally take away that joy of music if we talk too much. So totally depends on you. Thank you. Yes. Looks like there is one. It's not that theological. It's more like a slogan. It's also to get the Roman Catholics angrier in Transylvania. That's not true. They call us anti-Trinitarian sometimes, and I call them, no, we are Unitarian. We think that God is one. We think that Jesus was a real human being, but he died, unfortunately, and the Holy Spirit is the engine of God and not a separate God. And I will never forget that a first grade student of mine at school said that makes sense. And that tells everything about the Bible and the approach. Christianity, to be a Christian, can mean a lot of things for many, and I wouldn't say that in US, but for many in the world, it means that they accept Jesus Christ as their Savior, and that's the only way, no other way. Or Christian can mean that you follow the teachings of Jesus. And following the teachings of Jesus is nothing else than a worldwide truth. Be kind. Be a normal human being. The golden rule says, do not do to the others what you don't want to happen to you. Simple things. Buddhism, Islam, Hinduism, Taoism, every ism says the same thing. And we believe this side of Christianity. We are very liberal compared to the religious communities in Transylvania. Think about Eastern Orthodoxism or Russian Orthodoxism. And we are very conservative compared to you. So I didn't brought my robe because it looks very strange to you. And it's heavy. You need another luggage for that. It's good in winter, though. When you do a funeral outside, it's good. It's not good in Colombia in June. Okay, well, yes.
You have come this time with a companion. Tell us about that.
Yeah, I'm saving his energy for Sunday, but I'm very proud to say that finally I'm not alone here. I brought my congregant Alex. We have two young people in the congregation, a 9-grade-old girl, and she's 15, I think, and Alex is 22. And I'm very proud of him that he As half Romanian from his mother's side and half Hungarian from his father's side, he decided to join the Unitarian Church when he turned 14. We have a confirmation. You have to answer 124 questions about Unitarianism. Question number 21 is the best. What is your religion? My religion is Unitarianism. That was my favorite question, but his too. And I thought that it would be a really good experience for him to learn about the American roots of Unitarianism, because he had issues back home at the fire department. Everyone is Orthodox, and when they are asking about his religion, well, he can better tell how it is.
Well, hello at first. I'm not as good with words as Ysolt is, but I'll try my best. And I haven't spoke in front of a lot of people till now, so bear with me, please. What Ysolt was saying, as I'm an Unitarianist, there are not a lot of Unitarians where I work, especially, and when people at work ask me, what's your religion? Because we get to that discussion, what's your religion? And I tell them, I am an Unitarian. And they look at me and they're like, you're an Italian? And I tell them, no, I'm Unitarian. That means we believe in one single true God. And there it starts a discussion, and we go on and on, then back and forth. And I'll try to explain them what we think, and they get their part, and it's always a nice discussion. But it's always a pleasure to try to not convince, but not expose. Defend. Yeah, defend our beliefs. Yeah. Thank you.
Well, many times those Christians back home, when they get to the discussion, the really tough part is Easter. Like, what do you do at Easter? Well, we celebrate a rabbit. That's not true. That's not true, no. We celebrate eternal life. We celebrate that Jesus, if he ever died, and we believe in biology. Biology is a very exact science telling what's going to happen after we die if we don't intervene. And we believe that the soul of a human person, of human being, is eternal. That's how we are connected with God. If there is any God somewhere or any spirituality around the world, is that soul. I don't know where is that soul. All I know that when I'm in loved or when I feel good about people, I don't feel it here. I don't feel it in my head. I feel it somewhere in my chest. And we believe on Easter that the soul is eternal. I better celebrate that than an empty grave. So he has a tough job, but people always say, oh, that's a sect. And yeah, it's a sect from the 16th century, and we're pretty proud of it. How old is your church? And well, their church is after 1920, and ours is from the 16th century, so it makes a big difference. Alex is a firefighter. As time flies and I look different every fifth year I'm visiting, I decided to bring my better side, and I'm so proud of him. He visited 2 fire companies, fire places fire department. Thank you. My English is limited too, and I was amazed about the way they were collegial to each other, and he even met the fire chief in Colombia, wonderful person, and he even got a medal, and. But I believe that these kinds of experiences will help him to strengthen in that path that Unitarianism has a value. It has a value in Colombia, has a value in Transylvania, and I still wait for that future when people will wake up and realize that. So until that, we are here, to step up and keep the light and keep keep not the fire because you don't like that, but well, thank you. We go back on Tuesday, and I should say this on Tuesday, but it's a big event on Tuesday. I'm not going to talk. I will enjoy it. 4th of July, of course. And well, let's say that we have 2 weeks of holiday, of vacation. I as a vice principal and Alex as a firefighter. And these 2 weeks are these weeks when we are here. So we go back to work and we choose to come here and be with you instead of going anywhere else on holiday. We are so blessed to see you and to have your community around us. And I had the chance to look behind the curtains and listening. As a teacher, I always listen. Sometimes it's better to listen than talk. And I always listen, and I listened to some conversations about our visit and the programs you put together. We stayed this time with Jean and Craig, and the pool saved our July. And you are amazing as a committee. I mean, there are 8 people making our schedule every single hour. And not tell us what to do, but you know, give us that sense of being your partners and not just wandering around on the streets. You are great. Thank you.
No, I didn't went to Ysolt High School, but I went to Besterte. That's where some of you guys came. I was there. I mean, when the pictures were taken, the first one, I wasn't even born. So I don't know a lot of people from that picture, just a few. There is my aunt there somewhere. And the second picture, I was there. I was actually in that picture, if you look, but it was behind the behind that thing there, because I was at the service then, but I didn't make the picture. I had to go somewhere. But I'm really glad that I can be with you now. I'm very thankful that I got to experience all this. I mean, it was very, very blissful just going at the fire station, seeing all this beautiful country and the differences from Europe to America. But the most beautiful thing I can say is just being with you guys. I mean, I was pretty anxious because I don't know much of you. I mean, you've seen me. Some of you have seen me, but I was like this. And I've grown a little by then. But it was awesome. I mean, I felt like I was with family. It was not like I would met someone new. It was very wonderful. So I thank you for that.
May I say something? I just want to remind everybody that this will carry on to a picnic at wonderful Shelley and Susie's farm. They have done so much work to get their place ready for a big picnic on Tuesday night. So I hope you'll all join us again. And and there'll be fireworks after dark, which is something that will be spectacular, I hope. Anyway, thank you.
Yeah, and I do want to remind you, too, that Ysolt will be our featured speaker on Sunday morning at our regular 11 o'clock service. So be here, and you'd rather be here than watching on Zoom even. So he will be, the program will be his, and Alex is going to have a bit to say on that, too. So we will see you on Sunday. Thank you. Well, oh, yeah, she said there's still dessert back there.